Stardust asks, I was doing practice readings and got a spread that screamed infertility struggles because that's something I dealt with. I froze, worried it was something I was seeing due to my own. Okay, yeah. How do you take yourself out of the equation in such scenarios? The number one thing I do, first of all, the number one thing I do when I feel internal bias, fear, or anxiety kick in, I go to the guidebook. I just read the entire guidebook entry. This is like the easiest way I think I can think of to answer this question, because the guidebook to me is the next best thing to having another real person read that card for you. You're getting the author or creator of that deck to tell you what they think it means. And so you have this outside perspective on the card's meaning that you can lean into. So that is number one. I would read the guidebook. I would read the guidebook entry. If I don't get enough out of that, if I'm still feeling caught up in my own bias of what I think it might mean, then I'll go to a bigger book. I'm going to show you my book again. I'll go to any, it's just handy. I'll go to any book. Like for me, I might go to 78 Degrees of Wisdom, right? Or I might go to, Tarot Deciphered, or I might go to, I have a self-care tarot book that I refer to sometimes. I might go to that, but I'll pull another book, or I'll pull another deck that I know has a meaty book, or enough meaty that I know I'll get an entry out of it, and I'll read. And I treat the reading of the guidebook a little bit like bibliomancy. What is jumping out at me? And I'm looking for that neutral voice. I'm looking for that unbiased voice. What is this card actually telling me right now? Not my fear, not my anxiety. What is this card telling me right now? And then worst case scenario, I will walk away from the spread. I will either take a picture of it so I can reflect on it later, or I'll leave it on a table. I'll walk away. I'll do something else for a bit, maybe for a day or so, and then I'll come back and I'll sit with it again. So you pull the objectivity in by pulling another voice in. That's what I do. But sometimes all you need is space. All you need is space and distance. You can also use cards to move yourself through anxious responses to cards. So let me show you what that looks like. This is really easy. So basically, let's say this is a little bit like what we talked about earlier with being in conversation with your cards, right? So I'll use the Monster Tarot again because it's handy. So you've gotten an answer and you're like, is this really about this? This really seems like it's about this. And you're kind of in your head about it. Sorry, let me flip my view here. You're in your head about it. So you shuffle your cards while you're looking at the cards you already have down. You shuffle the rest of your cards and you're like, okay, this is an easy question to ask if you're anxious about something. And it's great to do this with tarot. You ask yourself, what is the evidence that this is what this is? And what is the evidence that this isn't what this is? And this is a great exercise to do with or without cards if you're feeling anxious. Okay, I'm convinced somebody's going to die. That's a common anxiety. Or I'm convinced somebody's going to never talk to me again. Whatever it is. So you're like, okay, what is the evidence that this person is about to not talk to me ever again? And I'll pull a card. Judgment. Okay, I guess if they go through a major life change and they've been called to this whole new life, they might never talk to me again. So that might be evidence for that anxious answer. But then I'm going to pull a card and say, what is the evidence against? Oh, this person isn't about to do life changes. Maybe they're going through some hard times. So you get the Five of Pentacles for evidence why this isn't true. And you're like, oh, okay. And so what I would do typically is I would build on that. I'd be like, okay, well, they've been going through a rough time. So they're probably not ignoring me. They're probably just still going through a hard time. So I might even pull more evidence. What's more evidence that that's not what's going on? Oh, Three of Cups. Look at how strong our friendship is. We're good. We're solid. And then I might pull another one. Oh, she's just busy. She's distracted. And so I'd go through this kind of thing, but I always start with first acknowledging the fear. What is the possible evidence that this fear is true? And then what is evidence against that proves that it's not true? And then I would usually put more of my energy into those because that's usually what I need in that moment. That's one way you can work through it. Lists are great for this without cards because then you won't get in your head about it, but you can literally pull out a piece of paper. What is the evidence that this is what's happening? And what is the evidence that this is not what this is happening? 9 times out of 10, if not more, I find that when I do that exercise, I realize I've got much less reason to be anxious than I think I do. So that's a helpful thing. But in general, with cards, you can build on that conversation by simply saying, okay, so you've laid the reading out. This is where you've got, this is the answer you think you have. And you can ask a more direct question and build on that. Like, how can I soothe my own fears that this is about infertility? How can I soothe my own fears? What do I need to know to calm myself down? Because I feel like that's what this is about. And you pull 3 cards and you go, oh, look at all these cards, like 2 of Cups, 6 of Cups, 9 of Cups, and you use those cards to soothe yourself, right? Now, this also might be a great time to pull out a deck you know isn't going to give you shadowy garbage. If you know you're feeling anxious and that you probably don't need to be, then pull follow-up cards from a deck that is going to make you feel comforted. So something that's going to have a little bit more of a positive spin might be helpful. What if you're being triggered while you're reading for someone else, like seeing my issues in their cards? Okay, look, I am like the master. If somebody else is going through something negative, I immediately am like, am I doing that? Like, oh, it doesn't matter what it is. If somebody is having an argument with somebody and I think the other person is being a jerk, I'm immediately like, am I being a jerk right now? Oh my God. And then I like start looking for it, like in myself. There's a certain personality type, I guess I'm one of them, that has the tendency to do that. What I would recommend and what is helpful is to do your best when you're reading for somebody else to intentionally put yourself to the side. That reading is not about you. You didn't pull those cards for you. You didn't pull those cards with yourself in mind. You pulled them for the other person. There's nothing in that reading that is for you. There will never be, my opinion, there will never be anything in that reading that is for you. That reading is for them. It has nothing to do with you. Now, as a human, you might relate to their situation. You might see yourself in some of those cards, but that reading was not for you. That reading was pulled for them. So, number one, remind yourself, this isn't about you. Get yourself out of the equation. You're not on the table. Your client is, or your friend is, or whoever you're reading for. They're who's on the table. You're not on the table. They are. So number one, refocus on your person. Refocus on your person because you are not the point of the reading. They are. So I think it's really important to keep them centered in your heart, mind, thoughts while you're reading the cards. If you catch yourself reflecting and wondering how it might apply to you, remind yourself, wait, but this reading isn't for me. These cards are for them, right? So yeah. Amber says that's a part of the reflection, though, co-creation of reality between two energies. So if you see yourself in the read, that's just showing the truth that we really are all one on a bigger macro level. Yeah, it is. I cannot tell you how many months. Well, you've seen it because you've been in it, Stardust. We do our monthly member readings. How often do you see the readings harmonizing? We see repeating themes show up again and again and again in monthly member reads. I'm there reading for 50, 60 people in one day. And we see those readings harmonize. We see that we are all struggling with similar things. Maybe it's astrology. Maybe we're all whatever. Maybe we're all on similar wavelengths. Maybe we're all going through similar things because that's a thing that happens. But we will see ourselves in other people's readings all the time. But the question is, when you're actively reading for somebody else, I do think you need to get yourself out of the way for sure so that you can focus on them. But just remember that there is a certain amount of just shared human experience, like Amber pointed out, that we are all having. So it's normal to see yourself reflected in other people's situations. I think that's just normal. That's also part of empathy. We can see or experience or imagine what we feel like in their situation, or we can see how we've been through something similar. And that's a valid part of what you bring to the table as a reader. You do bring your own experiences. You do bring your past to the table with you. It's just a matter of doing that in an ethical way so you're not bringing so much of yourself that you lose your client in the reading.